All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Friday. Happy Friday to everyone out there. December 6th. We have a 7-game, I believe it's 7-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we'll dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment for info about all of my final plays for free, so I'm actually rolling with myself, if you do want to check that out. In terms of yesterday, we did all right. We go 3-1 from a win-loss perspective. It's more like 2-1 because we did split a half unit with the Pelicans money line and the Pelicans plus 5.5, but we'll take the cha-ching because there was a lot of doubters. There were some people that saw my madness in my brain here about the Pelicans, but the Pelicans end up winning that one outright. And yeah, maybe it was a psycho play, maybe it was a crazy play, but a winning play. And then Desmond Bane, we did have to sweat it out. It was like he had 14 points with maybe a minute and a half left in the game. I think he finished with like 18, but still, we still kind of sweated it out. His legs looked dead at the end of the game, but you know what? That came through as well. Our only loss, and it was a bad one, was the Bulls and Spurs under 236.5. They scored, I can't even count that high. So yeah, they scored a lot of points. We also had our parlay of the day that we posted on Instagram, but that was an NFL and an NBA parlay. So all 3 NBA legs hit. The NFL leg didn't hit. It was a 4-leg parlay. So I think we'll just count that as a loss in the NFL. We have to count it in a loss one way, right? Because we lost. But we'll put it in the NFL losing category. So that'll be in the NFL recap there. But yeah, a nice little 3-1 night yesterday. Unfortunately, the ride of the day from Captain Cook here, Jabari Smith over 21.5 points plus rebounds. He does not get there. I think he finished with 7 and 5. Not the best night from him, unfortunately. Played 37 minutes too, so he definitely had the volume there in terms of minutes. Just could not get it done. The Warriors beat the Rockets without Steph. We didn't take it, but you know it was surprising. But unfortunately, the ride of the day does not come through. Good run there for Captain Cook. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day or ROTD in the comments. Give me one play. I jump on board with one person's pick each and every day. If you win, we continue to ride with your play. If you lose, you do got to face the womp womp. You get a shout out in the next video, win or loss, no matter what. I also shout you out over on my Twitter/X, which just popped up right here. You also get a shout out on the Guy Boston Sports website. So go ahead and get those hashtag ride of the days in there. What do you say we jump into some NBA action on this Friday? Very, very, very excited for this one. I think we have some good spots here, and we feel a little bit of momentum after last night. We had a terrible night, a few nights back, and then last night making me feel a little bit better. We also had a profitable Thursday night football, so the vibes are good on this Friday morning. Hope your vibes are good too. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's jump in. We got Philadelphia taking on Orlando. We just saw this matchup a couple days ago. Orlando won it 106-102, but Philly did ultimately end up covering. They're only getting 3.5 points here, and that's most likely because Paul George should play, and Andre Drummond might be coming back as well, which, with Paul George in the lineup, Andre Drummond playing, I do think this Philly team takes a little bit of a step up based on or compared to how they were just a couple games ago. So I'm going to lean towards Philly plus the points. Do I love it? No. There's a couple decent matchups here on this board that we can get into, and I just realized all the colors are messed up. We can fix that in a second, but a couple good matchups that we can get into. This, I don't know if it's one of them because I could see this going either way, but I'll take the points in my back pocket with Philadelphia there at plus 3.5. The total's at 210. Last time they played, 106-102. You have these two teams are playing decent defense. On the season, Orlando the third best defensive efficiency team, and then Philadelphia below in the top half of the league, which is kind of surprising because they're not all that great defensively, but they're playing a little bit better defense than some might think, especially in the last 3 games of the third best defensive efficiency team. So I'll lean towards the under because they also play at such a slow pace. Last 10 games, Orlando 30th, Philadelphia 28th. So 210 is definitely a low number, but I'll lean towards the under. Now, are you guys ready for a little bit of magic to fix these colors? We shall see if that even worked. But anyways, the colors are fixed. Let's go ahead and move on. Celtics taking on the Bucks. Celtics 7.5 point favorites. That totals at 229.5. I've seen that drop in some places at 228.5. So we'll keep an eye on that. First and foremost, you're gonna want to keep an eye on the injury report before doing anything on this game. Jason Tatum listed as a game time decision. Kristaps Porzingis game time decision. Al Horford game time decision for Boston. On the Milwaukee side of things, Giannis Antetokounmpo game time decision. Beauchamp game time decision. And then Chris Middleton actually listed as probable here. So definitely just keep an eye on the injuries. I imagine these guys are going to play and want to play. Obviously, not a true full-fledged rivalry, but in the last few recent years here, Boston and Milwaukee always a big game, right? So I do envision them wanting to play against one another. When they played last time, they played twice so far this season. The Celtics won 119 to 108, and then they won 113 to 107. So they've looked good against this Milwaukee team. The one thing I will say, and I feel like it stinks as a Celtics fan to admit, this Bucks team, I believe, is going to start getting better and better. They lost to Atlanta last time out, but prior to that, they had won 7 straight games. They had won 8 of their last 9. Like, they're starting to put things together. We knew that they would at some point. But all that being said, this is a Boston team that's 9-2 at home this year against a Bucks team 3-6 on the road. Celtics aren't exactly the best against the spread team, but I do chalk that up to them having these numbers like 15.5, 14.5, you know what I mean? This is 7.5. I think this will be a close game, but the Celtics kind of pull away at the end, so call me biased. I am a massive Celtics fan, obviously. But give me the Celtics here minus 7.5 points. But again, with the asterisk and the caveat of let's make sure everybody is playing, right? Even from a player prop perspective, I don't have anything in this game yet because I want to make sure everybody is playing. Now, from a total perspective, 229.5 is the number right now, or you can get a 228. So far this year, we've seen 119 to 108, right? So that would be a 227. We saw a 113 to 107, so that'd be 220. I do think that Milwaukee's offense is starting to click a little bit more and more, and the Celtics can't cover the rim all that well. Now, Milwaukee starting to prioritize, the perimeter versus the rim in terms of scoring as some of their guys get better and better, shooting, especially Dame, and you throw in the fact that even AJ Green kind of out of nowhere is shooting. So I do think Milwaukee is starting to shoot less at the rim, but they still have the ability to do that. And the Celtics obviously can score from anywhere, mainly the 3-point range, even when a team is playing well, which Milwaukee so far this year allowing the 10th most points from 3. I think we could see some points in this game, even though we've seen 2 games in which have gone under, pretty severely to this line. I think tonight, on a Friday night, we do see Boston and Milwaukee both contribute. So give me the over in this spot. If you like the under, yeah, I don't think you're crazy. That line's already moving towards that direction. And like I mentioned, you have 2 good defenses. Milwaukee's defense starting to come along. Like, I could see an under, but I truly think the offenses take priority here in this one. And if we did know who's in, who's out, I probably would have more of an idea of player props, but if we do add any player props or a player prop, just keep an eye on the final plays on the Guy Boston site. If we have one that we haven't talked about in today's video, I'll add a little sub bullet and a little blurb as to my rationale as to why I like that spot and kind of explain myself. But I guess if I had to take a player prop in that game, it would be over on sleeper picks there. Jason Tatum, 0.5 points. You know he gets up against the Bucks. He is listed as questionable, but again, I think these guys play in a big game like this or kind of a hyped up game like this. So Jason Tatum, 0.5 points. If you sign up for sleeper today, you're also going to get a deposit match up to $1,500. I mean, $1,500. Are you kidding me? Go ahead and check out sleeper. That link is going to be in the description and in the pinned comment. If you have not tried it yet, you are really missing out on one of the best DFS apps out there. All you do is pick more or less based on player set projections. Jason Tatum's normally 26 points. Now you got to pick the more button on 0.5 points. You put a few of those into a slip. The more you win within that, the more you get paid out. And what I like about Sleeper, I tell you guys all the time, what I like about Sleeper is that each and every play you throw into your slip changes the payout dynamically. They don't follow a fixed payout structure like all of the other apps out there. No, each and every play you pick, you throw into your play can change the payout, which makes it really, really cool and fun. They have alternate lines. They have more squares available than any other app out there as well. So go ahead and check it out. That link will be in the description and in the pinned comment. Also put it with the final plays on the Guy Boston Sports site. But if you guys are not on Sleeper and it's available in your state, you are really missing out. They promo so many squares and whatnot. Really, really fun. Go check it out. That link is down below. All right, Atlanta taking on the Lakers. No matter which way I look at this, I see Atlanta all day long. So this definitely has a chance of being a final play. It has a lot of same game parlay potential too. So we might add something like that. Maybe I'll post a separate video on Instagram or whatnot if we do something like that or just on social because I think this game has a lot of same game parlay potential. Kind of talk about that in a second. But let's just talk about the side for a second. Atlanta minus 4.5 right now. I can't get to the Lakers side. I really can't. I don't really think that they're playing all that great at basketball. The offense looks crappy. 93, 105, 80, 93 in their last 4 games, right? And they played OKC, Utah, Minnesota, Miami. Okay, fine. They played some decent defenses in there. Atlanta's defense isn't all that great, but Atlanta, they've beat Milwaukee and Cleveland twice, 3 of their last 5 games, and they've won 5 straight. Those other 2 were New Orleans and Charlotte. So, yeah, I'm kind of choosing not to give them all that much credit for that, but they've won 5 straight. They now have a 6-5 record at home, which is better than the Lakers' 5-2 record on the road. In terms of a cover perspective, neither one of these teams have been all that great, so I'm not all that concerned with that. I don't know if the points will matter here. I think either Atlanta's going to win this game, by more than 5, or honestly, if the Lakers do, I think that they end up winning the game as well. But the thing that I want to focus on here is Atlanta. Number 1 team over the last 10 games in terms of shooting the ball, in terms of frequency rate at the rim, so in the restricted area, as well as the number 6 team in the paint. This is a Lakers team that also likes to score in the paint, not at the same frequency, but same in terms of points per allowed per game. They're the 8th highest points in the paint per game offensively, right, compared to Atlanta's 2nd. Whereas the defense comes in here, you see the Lakers this season allowing the 3rd most points in the paint, Atlanta allowing the 5th fewest. So if both teams are going to try and get to the paint, Atlanta's going to do a hell of a lot better of a job defending it, whereas Atlanta should be able to offensively go and score right at the paint, whether it's Trey getting into the paint, Jalen Johnson, Clint, that type of thing. That being said, we should show our new little graphic now. We're still working on it, guys. If you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment DNB Graveyard if you like this sort of segment. These are almost like the do not bet list. Like, this is stuff that we're not going to touch right away. We have 3 things on it right now. I did just mention Clint Capella, but his potential revival when he reaches his hand through the ground and says, "Bring me back," is 12-10. So 4 more days, because he's burned us a couple times. He's cashed for us, but burned us. You can see the big headstone right in the middle, the Kings, their potential revival. I don't think I'm touching them. Obviously, anything can change. They can have an early revival, but I'm not touching them until literally the end of this year. 1/1/25 is going to be the next day. And then Brook Lopez, specifically 3-pointers made, is in the DMB graveyard. We got a couple open headstones there too. Who's going to burn us next? I'm not sure, but let me know if you guys do like this. We'll kind of keep track of it and whatnot. And maybe in the space that's kind of like over here, the empty space, we'll be able to track who's been in there most and whatnot. So yeah, the DMB graveyard. I thought it could be kind of fun to add to the daily shows here, especially when teams burn us. But like I mentioned, I don't mind Clint Capella tonight, but he is 6 feet under right now, so we're not going to touch him. But again, Atlanta should be able to score in the paint here. I think that's going to kind of put them over the top, because neither one of these teams are, 1, shooting a lot of threes, and 2, making a lot of threes from deep. Neither team is very good at stopping threes, but again, like they don't even have the frequency to worry me there. So yeah, I'm all over the place here, but like I said, Atlanta for me in this spot. I'm probably so big on Atlanta that the Lakers are going to go and win by like 20, but hey, you know what? That's just the industry we live in. In terms of player props, I don't mind Trae Young. I know the world is down on Trae Young right now. But like I just mentioned, Atlanta doesn't shoot a ton of threes in the last 10 games, but the Lakers stink at covering their perimeter. Who do you think of when you think of perimeter for Atlanta, right? Trae Young. And I know he knows everybody's hating on him right now, and that's a guy that likes to shut people up, right? He's done it before, so I don't mind Trae Young here in a buy low spot. I don't mind Jalen Johnson either. This is the number 1 pace Atlanta team going up against the number 27 pace Lakers team in the last 10 games. Jalen Johnson is a pace machine. If he gets the ball, he can run, he can dribble, he can obviously catch the ball like a wide receiver and go dunk it on the other end. Like, if he can start running on a Lakers team like this, I think they can run laps around them. So that's kind of what I was talking about with the same game parlay aspect. I think that we could have something here that involves maybe Atlanta or Trey and Jalen Johnson, maybe just bumping their points line down a little bit and putting them together. So definitely keep an eye on the final plays. We might make a separate video if we think that it's worth doing that for the same game parlay, but we might just add it in. It's going to be something along the lines of what we talked about so far here. All right, next up, we have the Spurs taking on Sacramento. And by the way, with the DNB graveyard, we just showed like the Kings are front and center, right? We can still lean in that direction. I can give you my honest opinion. I'm talking about actually putting my bread on these guys. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. It's not like I look at this game and I'm like, well, immediately have to lean towards the Spurs because the Kings are in the graveyard. No, I can still give my thought on it. But in terms of me actually making it a final play, that's kind of the fun of it. And I know there's going to be people being like, why do you even have that? No one should be on a do not bet list. Like it's every game's in a vacuum. Today's a new day. You ever heard of fun? It's kind of fun to put a team on the do not bet list and just keep them there, you know what I mean? Anyways, let's jump into this one. We got the Spurs taking on Sacramento. Both teams on a back-to-back here. San Antonio losing 139 to 124. Yes, we had the under in that game. And then Sacramento losing 115 to 110 against Memphis. Desmond Bane, a decent part of that win there too. Like I said, he finished with, I believe it was 18. He led the team in scoring. I think he tied with someone else, but got something in my mouth. Anyways, all right, a lot of distractions for this game. We have the Spurs taking on the Kings here. Right now, this is a 5.5 spread. You see 3.5 in the graphic, so this thing is all over the place. It is moving around, definitely. If this is at 5.5, I don't mind the Spurs now. No Victor Wembanyama. He didn't play yesterday. He's not playing tonight. And no Trey Jones. As the Kings are getting healthier and healthier, like Malik Monk is back, that type of thing, they will get better. But I don't like this matchup for them. This is a Spurs team that in the last 10 games, 6th highest frequency in the league at above the break threes. You have the Kings, who are the 2nd worst team in terms of points allowed from 3 so far this season. Last 3 games, 25th. And they haven't been playing all that great on the road either, right? They are 5-6 on the road this year, whereas the San Antonio has pretty much only been a good home team. Now, we say that, and yesterday they lose to Chicago, but nonetheless, still, they've been better at home this year than they've been on the road. Do I like the fact that Wemby's out? No, and that probably keeps me away from locking this one in, unless that line gets to like, it's already moved 2 so far this morning in the last hour and a half or 2 hours. If this line moves like 7.5, then yeah, I'd consider it. But I do think that San Antonio is the right side. I don't know if the points will matter in this one. Either the Kings are going to come out to play or they're not, and that's going to result in either San Antonio winning this game or probably losing this game by, 8 points or so. So if you like San Antonio like I do and you can stomach no Victor Wembanyama, no Trey Jones, then it might just be a money line look. From a total perspective, both teams are on a back-to-back. In no-rest situations this year, San Antonio has hit the under in 75% of their games, and Sacramento's hit the over in 60% of their games. So you have one team that seems to run on back-to-backs, one team that seems to not run on back-to-backs. But based on the Bulls being able to score like they're going through butter yesterday against San Antonio, I don't think that I can consider an under in this spot. So give me the over. Just like the hat says, GuyBostonSports.com/store. The over is smacking. Now, from a player prop perspective, I don't necessarily love this only because it's a back-to-back, okay? But Chris Paul over 10.5 points. You can also get him for -140 over on DK for over 9.5 points. He's hit this so far this season in 14 of 22 games, which isn't bad, right? That's 64%. You filter to without Victor Wembanyama, he's hit it in all 4 games, averaging 12.5 points. Now, when you look at no days rest, he's only hit it in 2 of 4 this season and in 1 of his last 3. So yeah, it makes it a little bit tough. And Sacramento has been decent at preventing point guards from scoring, but they don't cover the perimeter well, and maybe Chris Paul has a couple more threes in him than he normally does. So without Victor Wembanyama this season, he's had 2, 4, 1, and 2 threes made, which isn't bad. So I think that I could look at that. Maybe a points plus assists as well. That's 19.5. It's a little bit more, but he's also hit that in 3 straight. So I think that Chris Paul could pick up the slack, but maybe like Champagne, because I want to target the perimeter here against the Sacramento team. So yeah, we don't have all the lines out as we're recording this fairly early, but I do think there could be some value in targeting sort of the perimeter against Sacramento, not inside. Sacramento's pretty damn good at covering the paint. And guys, I did just mention it, the merch, right? If you guys do want to pick it up, we have 2 of our holiday designs, the Won't You Guide My Parlay tonight and the Ho Ho Heisman ugly holiday sweater. GuyBostonSports.com/store, GuyBostonSports.com/store. Go pick up some stuff. All right, Chicago taking on Indiana. I do have a same-game parlay that definitely has a good chance of being placed as a final play in this one, so we'll get into that when we get to the player prop section because it involves 2 player props. But in terms of a side pick here, it's difficult because the Bulls have won 2 straight, and Indiana looks like they are in disarray. Like they've lost 7 of their last 10 games, so they have 3 wins, right? Those 3 wins, New Orleans, Portland, and Detroit. Like they're not doing too much out here to make any Pacers fan confident. That said, I don't think if Kobe White is out again, and that's going to be a big deal. If Kobe White is out again, I don't see Chicago being able to run as much as they did and play as fast as they did last night, and then having the easiest time just coming right in here and playing against Indiana. Now, Indiana isn't a great defensive team, so it's not like they're going to push them around and be physical. So this is a tough one, but I think I'm going to lean towards Indiana. Based on how these two teams are playing, and I'm kind of putting the back-to-back aside for a second, based on how these two teams are playing, why in the world is Indiana, 3.5-point favorites when realistically, I wouldn't be surprised if they were like 1.5-point dogs type of things, like Chicago's definitely playing better basketball. They're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5, and Indiana has not covered in who knows how long, right? I think they're like 9-1. They have one push in there in their last 10. So yeah, it seems to me like it's so obvious that Chicago should be maybe the favorite team. They're at home as well. Is the back-to-back that big of a deal? And if it is, then yeah, I'm trying to line read here. Indiana minus the points. I'll sound the psycho alert alarm. I don't know if it's worth it because obviously it's just a favorite that I'm leaning towards here, but I don't know if they should be necessarily favored based on what we're seeing. The fact that they are, someone knows something, and I'm going to trust that. So give me Indiana. Total's at 246. I'm going to lean towards the under. Sound it again, and shout out to the person in the comments saying it's not an alarm. I know it's not an alarm, but we've called it a psycho alert alarm forever, so the thing has a name. I can't just change. Imagine if someone came up to you and was like, hey, we're going to change your name tomorrow without you saying yes. No. This is the psycho alert alarm. But anyways, I'll sound that again because Chicago just burned us yesterday. We had the under 236.5, and it was 139-124, and we have two fast-paced teams. But again, I just can't lean towards an over of 246. That's crazy. We're asking for 250 points is like ludicrous to me. Maybe I'm thinking too old school about basketball and whatnot, but that is the case. Now, I did say I had some player prop action, right? And what I'm going to look at, and I want to get some updated odds here. They were not bad this morning, and I think that it could be something that we end up rolling with. So let's see. The odds kind of got killed. We'd have to add something else in here. We had Pascal Siakam and Benedict Mathurin 15 plus points each, and it was like minus 160 on FanDuel, and I was like, on other places, that thing is like, that's in the 200s, you know what I mean? So I thought we had some value. Now it's minus 170, so we might have to add something else in if that's the case. But those two guys I would target because this is a Bulls team that just for the life of them cannot stop a nosebleed at the rim. And Benedict Mathurin and Pascal Siakam are going to be the guys that like to shoot in the paint there for the Pacers. Benedict Mathurin for sure, but they're pretty much 1 and 2 in both of those categories. Unfortunately, though, the books have beat us to that because they're already moving those odds. All right, game number 6 here on the slate. We have Golden State taking on Minnesota. Some people in the comments called me crazy yesterday for liking Golden State. Now, I didn't have the cojones to go and pull the trigger on them, right? So I can't do a victory lap or take credit, but they did without Steph. They were 4-point dogs. They outright won against Houston, and I do think the back-to-back is going to be a factor here. We do have Minnesota coming off of three straight wins. They won by 29 against the Lakers, and then I think it was like 28, right? 27, something like that, against the Clippers. So this Minnesota team maybe has a little bit of a fire under their ass, and maybe they're going to start to get things going. They're healthy. Steph Curry, no Draymond, neither one of those guys playing for Golden State, and they're on a back-to-back in rest advantage situations here this year. Minnesota covering in 57.1% of games, so they do have the rest advantage. My one concern is Golden State at home is definitely good. They were, obviously home yesterday. They've covered in 66.7% of games at home this year. They're 6-3 straight up as well, whereas Minnesota has kind of struggled on the road. That said, I'm hoping they build some momentum off of that huge win against the Clippers in LA. So maybe they have that going for them there. This total's at 220.5. That number does make sense to me, but the Warriors are going to come out here and say, all right, let's play some defense, right? Like, that's the only way they stay in this game. And let's not forget that this Minnesota team is starting to play better and better and better defense. In fact, in the last 3 games of theirs now, Lakers and Clippers, for those 3 games, they played the Clippers twice, the Lakers once. The last 3 games, they are the number 1 team in terms of points allowed to their opponents. And then in the last 3 games, from a defensive efficiency perspective, number 1 team as well. On the season, they're the number 6 team. So we do have like a decent Minnesota defense that I think people are sleeping on just because their traditional defense, like Rudy Gobert down low, that's not been their forte this year. It's actually been stopping their perimeter. Oh, stopping their perimeter. What do you think about the Golden State Warriors when you think about how they like to score? The perimeter, right? So I do think that we could see, a decent defensive game. I'll take the under 220.5, and I wish I had some player props in this one, but nothing as of right now. All right, Portland taking on Utah. I will say this before we even get into this. I'm not sitting here preaching about this game because this is the messiest game on the board, right? But in terms of injuries, you can go through that. We have Klingon still out for Portland. Scoot Henderson listed as a game-time decision. Jordan Clarkson and Kik Flipowski also out for Utah. In this spot, you have Utah coming into it after, I think it's like 5 straight losses. They've lost 9 of their last 10. Portland has lost 6 of the last 10. Last time these teams played was literally almost a year ago, so not worth really looking into that. But Utah's 2-8 on the road this year. At least Portland's 5-5 at home. In terms of a cover rate, 60% of their games at home this year they've covered in. And Utah does like to shoot in the paint, second highest frequency over the last 10 games. It's only good enough for the 22nd most points in the paint on the season, right? But Portland's actually a top 10 team at stopping, baskets in the paint. So if this is a game in which either team tries to go and score in the paint, I think Portland's going to win that battle both defensively and offensively. So I'll lean Portland here in this spot. But like I said, this is definitely like the grossest of games. This is the trash game on the board. But some people out there might be liking it and might be liking the spot. And I do think if you target it, it kind of comes down to that paint game, which I think Portland wins both offensively and defensively. So give me the Trailblazers in this spot. I don't envision much defense on either side from this, but they're probably going to be trying to score by 2s. And in a messy game like this, I got to give at least in some credit to some missed shots and maybe Portland's defense down low. So I'll lean under 226. But if you're on the over, do not let me talk you off of that whatsoever. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know if you did make it to the end of the video. And again, one last time, happy Friday to everyone out there. Catch you in the next one, all right? Peace out.